We're live. And you know what? Let me say, it's afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in to 810 News Media. Usually it's breaking news, but this news is broke. We broke it in this morning. And let me tell you all, I am so excited to be here. I'm so happy, Pam. Dr. Pugh, candidate for United States Senator.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And
We've been waiting. We've been waiting to have you.
and thank you for your support.
You sure got that. You have that. And you know what? I mean, you're no stranger here. You are no stranger to Flint for sure. We think you're ours.
You all can't get rid of me.
We can't. And you can't get rid of us.
Me.
You can't get rid of us. And for those that haven't heard, and you know what, I act like everybody knows you. But this is Dr. Pamela Pugh. And I think everyone knows you because of everything you've done, not just in Flint, but around the state of Michigan. But for Flint, let me just start with there, okay? When I met you, you were already on the State Board of Education. Yes. I knew you from the National NAACP and the things you were doing there. But look, she told me she was going to work for Flint and help us.
I tracked you down.
You tracked me down, and I appreciated that. I appreciated that, and you did it. And one of the things that happened is you ended up being the chief public health advisor for the city of Flint. And you led the way. You helped us lead the way as far as this being a public health crisis and knowing what to do and putting things in place for us. But and now you're our president of the State Board of Education. Yes. And you've been a fighter in both of these areas. You've been involved with the Democratic Party on every level, on every single level, local, state, national. But now you made an announcement today.
Yes, I did. I did. And, I first should probably thank the audience and the people of Flint for sending me back to the State Board of Education for the second time. So I was elected in 2014, and then you all sent me back to the State Board of Education in 2022. And now I do have the honor of serving as the president of the State Board of Education. So I first start there. And now, yes, we have entered this phase of our race for the U.S. Senate. And as we know, Senator Stabenow will be stepping down, will not run again in 2024. So it leaves an open seat. And so we are walking into the race, and I should say running. We'll be running, and we're going to run through the front finish line.
That's right.
And so it was wonderful to be able to make the announcement here in Flint, because we know that Flint is just an example of so many things: resilience, courage, but also what happens when a government doesn't stand up and be there for and protect its people.
So let me ask you this. This is just a general question, but let me ask you this, because what you were saying made me think about this. People are going to ask, so why are you running for senator?
Oh my goodness, I've had this question asked of me so many times.
Well, I'm going to say I'm glad you're running. We could give you reasons to run and why we need you there, but why are you running?
And it's a question that people should ask. I am running because the people here in Michigan deserve leadership who know them, leadership who know their needs, leadership who knows their struggle. And that leader, we talk leadership, but really it's representation. It's people who will go to Washington and carry the voice of the people.
Right.
That's what it really is. And so I've been here, as you've talked about my time here in Flint. I started off with you, Mayor Weaver, and others, and just listening to the voice of the people of Flint. And that was before I started working for the city of Flint. And so I am running because the people of Michigan deserve a leadership that will stand for them, stand for the people, and fight for the people. And that's what I've been, a fighter for the people, whether it has been here in Flint with you. I remember when we were in Detroit and you said, Pam, if you're coming to serve the people of Flint, I need somebody who is coming to do just that, serve the people of Flint. I need someone who will be by my side and can bring fact-based information. And so I did have that experience. And so that is the fight that I will carry to Washington and be a representative of the people.
And that's what we need. We need representation. We need representation, and we need a voice. And we know that you do that. And that's what we have appreciated. That's just some of what we've appreciated about you. But let me ask you this: what, because there, we know there are others, but what distinguishes you from other candidates? What makes you special? We know what makes you special, but we're talking to the people out there. What makes you different?
I started by thanking the listeners for sending me to Lansing. And so I have been elected statewide twice. In 2014, when very few Democrats won on that ticket. And then I just recently won in 22. So I am the only statewide elected that official that will be on this ballot, gaining over 2 million votes when I ran. And so that is the first. But my experience in environmental health, my experience in climate and taking climate action, and knowing that climate action and addressing environmental issues is not just about removing us from fossil fuels. It's also about reducing our dependency on foreign oils. But it's also about public health, and it can also be about jobs. So having that experience as well distinguishes me from the rest. I have been here in Michigan probably all but 5 years of my life. I won't tell you how old I am, but I I have been raised here in Michigan. I went to school in Florida, came back to Michigan, and I've lived in Michigan just about all of my life.
And one of the things that I want to add to what you're just saying is you're not scared. And that's something that I appreciate. I mean, because you tracked me down and you said, "You need my help." And I said, "All right." You weren't, I mean, you came and said that I have something to offer. When I think about what you did with the State Board of Education and those children, those young students in Detroit, you weren't scared to say, "No, this is wrong, and I'm standing with you." And we need people that aren't scared. And you would always come with fact-based information, and you told the truth, whether it was good news or bad news. It was our news, and people needed to know that. So, okay, let me, Debbie Stabenow is not going to run again. We have never, ever in the state of Michigan had an African American senator.
Yes. And you know what is even more startling? There's only been 2 African American or Black senators to serve in our U.S. Senate
since its
like
inception.
The 1700s, yeah.
So it's past time. It's past time. But how do you? Is that a challenge? Is that a hurdle? What do you think about that?
The first African American woman to go to our U.S. Senate was from right here in the Midwest. So it is doable. It is doable, and we have an agenda. And my policy, when I say we, I speak in terms of we, right. I'm always thinking of the people and who I've worked with and who sends me to these positions. But my principles and what my platform will stand on, the values, as well as represent the needs and the struggles of the people. And so I've gone across this state, Mayor. I've been within the last few months, been to rural Michigan. I'm in urban Michigan. Just within a week, I've been in Muskegon, Jackson, of course, Detroit and Flint. But we've been across this state. And what people know about me is I represent their values. I will stand for our issues. And I'm going to do what's right for the people.
So we're talking about the people. Let's talk about the people. Okay. Because there's a lot going on in Michigan, and we
Mhm.
have a lot of challenges. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing Michigan families, and what do you plan on doing about some of them?
I will focus on economic dignity.
Oh,
I will
I like
focus
that.
on, and we will build out from there. But really, when we think about economic dignity, we think about people being able to get up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that they have a purpose, knowing that they can go to a job where they are respected, where they are paid for their talents and their gifts. And we know some of that will be entrepreneurship. We know
Right.
some of that will be small businesses, but they are supported to get paid, good paying jobs where they can have benefits, healthcare, quality and affordable
Mm-hmm.
healthcare where they can spend time with their family, and then be able to retire with dignity. And so that's where we will
That's
focus. And when we talk about that, that's making sure
so.
that people have the right education system and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they have the right pathway to get to that economic dignity.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something about education, but you know what? That sounds like a public health expert to me. And really, and I'm not being
Well,
funny
you know.
because when you think about economic dignity, that's for your health and your
Yes.
well-being.
And
Uh,
healthy people is what
exactly.
builds
And
this country.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear you say that. But I'm going to jump into education because you talked about that and you've been a leader. You were a leader before you became
Well,
the
thank you.
president of the State Board of Education, but now you're the president and you've been a leader at that level. So what will be your educational priorities when you go to the Senate, because we can't wait for Washington.
Well, first of all, we have to make sure that we have leaders that value our history, that won't throw away our history, that won't try to erase us as a
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
or our history. We need to make sure that we have leaders that will support policies that support all of our children. So, and I say that, and that those things we can't take for granted because we look right down the 75 corridor in Florida, and what do we see? We see someone who's removing books that are
Right.
by us, that are written by us, that are for us, and really talk about the issues that we need to be talking about in our schools, which are issues to address, racial issues. It really is about our history, and it's this country's history, and so we can't take that for granted that we have policymakers that, first of all, are in our federal government who understand that. So, as a U.S. senator, really looking at how do we steer resources, how do we make sure that the resources get to the local level, working with the Michigan delegation to put forward packages and bills that ensure that we're prioritizing an equitable education, that we're steering dollars so that educators, that there's money in the budget at the local levels for
Yeah.
educators to receive fair pay. There's a lot to do around education, and some of the things that districts like Flint, Saginaw, Detroit that they've been facing now is something that's ubiquitous. It's something that communities across this country are facing, and so there will be a lot to do around our education system, making sure that infrastructure dollars and education dollars address the needs of our infrastructure. Where our children spend most of their day and time, making sure that we are prepared for the future of tomorrow. So you've heard me talk about two predictions, and that is in 2030, Amazon
Mhm.
talks about how they'll have more robots than people working. And then looking at the global health or the climate crises, that if we don't address those issues by 2030, we won't be able to undo the devastation caused by the drivers of climate change. And so all of those pieces involve education
Mhm.
and making sure that our students are prepared for a future for tomorrow, making sure that they can address the issues that are related to climate change. Because again, I will say that climate change is an opportunity for jobs of tomorrow as well. So
And I was listening to you, and you said something that's really important because having been a mayor, you talked about making sure that the money, the funding gets to the local level
right.
because so many times it gets to the state and then it gets tied up
Mhm.
and it doesn't make it to the local level. And we know where that money needs to go. And so to hear you say that,
Mhm.
that's very, I mean,
Mhm.
that's
And
reassuring.
I don't know if you remember this, but we went to Washington. There was one trip that we made to Washington to the White House, and we talked to representatives of several of the departments.
Hmm.
They were part of the White House staff, but they were the liaison between the White House and those departments, and really talking about Flint.
Hmm.
And we were telling them what was working and what was not
Right.
working. So also when the resources come, really being able to make sure that communities, when we send those dollars from
They reach.
Washington to you, the local communities, that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that they're actually making the impact. And there has to be that dialogue
Right.
as well, and you don't need that blockage that does not allow that conversation. Because when I go to the U.S. Senate,
Hmm.
which I hope to be successful to do, we want to get the resources to the community, but we also will need that feedback and that relationship with communities to make sure that those dollars are doing what they're supposed to be doing, getting there and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I know you have been rushing today, and I know you don't have much time, but I have a
Mhm.
couple more questions I need to ask you. And I have to ask something Flint specific.
Yeah.
And it's Flint specific, but I've been traveling around.
Mhm.
I've been to Jackson
Mhm.
several
Mhm.
times, been to Chicago. We were in Baltimore, and talking
Mhm.
about what's going on with access to clean water,
Mhm.
clean, affordable water.
Mhm.
And so, we're excited here in Flint about you. We want you there. We want a voice talking about what we still
Mhm.
deserve to get and what other communities that look like Flint should have,
Mhm.
because no one should be going through this, and Flint deserves to be made whole.
Right.
So how do you carry that message about Flint, and not just about Flint? Like I said, I've been to other places, you have as well,
Mhm.
and you know that water and access to clean water is
Mhm.
difficult. I mean, we can replace
Yeah.
that with air, with the soil, but all of these environmental
Mhm.
injustices that are happening in our community. So
Ooh,
tell us about that.
you have to be careful asking
I know
a
it.
wonky
I know it.
science public health person a question like
But
that,
we have to
because
we have to
there's
touch on it.
there's so much that can be done. And I don't know if you remember this. We were talking about making Flint a water
Yes,
research
we were.
hub, and because it was water.
Hmm.
There was so much that's tied up in water.
Right.
First of all, if people don't trust the water system doesn't move.
Right.
And you need the
And it gets
water
worse.
system to move in order to make sure that, heavy metals are not leaching into the water, or pathogens are
Hmm.
not leaking into the water. So that whole trust of the water system is also about trust of the elected officials as well.
Hmm.
So me being here in Flint, I would hope first of all that whatever we do together, there is a trusted representative
Hmm.
that is there speaking on their behalf, as well as on the ground working on their behalf. So that's one piece. I would also say, just water. We were dealing with water affordability, and
Hmm.
we know that utility costs, whether we're talking about water or we're talking about energy, are a burden. And when we talk on the pocketbook, and when we talk
Right.
about economic dignity, we know
Hmm.
we have to deal with water affordability issues. So that those are infrastructure
Right.
issues as well. And there was so much that we can do there around water affordability planning that 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 I know about, because we were implementing a health and all policy approach
Right.
to how we were making our
You'll
decisions.
take that to Washington.
I will take that to Washington. I'm sorry, I'll go on and on and on when it comes to the policy around infrastructure.
I'm just looking
and
at
water.
one of the comments where Philip is saying healthcare is always under attack. Find ways to prevent industry from taking advantage of people over, talking about the health insurance, the cost of medication, those kinds of things. So we do have a fighter here. But before we close, because I know you have to get going, but before we close, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want people to know about you?
I think, what I want people to know is that I have over 25 years experience of fighting for, I'm going to say, our values. I won't say their values, our values, and really understanding our needs and our struggles, and that we are a diverse state, but we working together can address our issues with the right representation in Washington, D.C. And that's where I hope to be in 2024, 25.
And before we go, I still have one more thing to say. But if people want to contact you, if they want to support you, if they want to learn more about you, how do they find you?
PughForMichigan.com. So we're just going live. We just went live
today.
Not it.
Are you sure? I think it's Pugh for Michigan.
Pugh, Michigan. PughMichigan.com. Thank you.
Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
We were just going live, so I can't wait to go check everything out. But PughMichigan.com.
PughMichigan.com.
PUGH.
That's right. That and really, if we have somebody that we can get behind, we're here with Pamela Pugh. Flint, you all know her for sure. She feels like she's at home because she is at home. And we have a fighter, but fighters need money to be able to go.
Oh my word!
You need money to be able to go, because that's what they like to compare. Well, did she get enough money? You've seen people get kicked out because they haven't been able to raise money. So we've got to get behind you and support you. So it's Pugh Michigan.
PughMichigan.com. We will be out.
It's in there too. Thank you.
We will be out in communities. We will meet with people, but absolutely, we do need donations. These races cost a lot of money, and it's unfortunate.
You have to, commercials and all kinds of things. But it's funny because people have lost trust. You said that they've lost trust in government, they've lost trust in elected officials, and why I know we're so excited about you is because you do have a proven track record, and we've been the benefits. We've been the beneficiaries. Is that the right word? Of your track record, really. You all know what I'm saying, and we've benefited from your track record, and so we thank you for that.
Thank you.
And people don't trust, and I want to tell them, because I was having a conversation with this guy earlier, and he hit the nail on the head when he said, if you want different results, send different people. You want something different, send someone different, and send someone different with experience, because you take this experience of not just the Board of Education and being in that field. You take public health experience. They're making laws for us. They're putting things in place, policies in place. You've had experience with water. So you're taking.
You see, that gets me excited.
Right. I know. It's strange.
We'll be here all day.
We get excited about this because it was like a crash course in real life. But you have that experience, and so we're excited for you.
And I can't ever leave.
We're excited for ourselves, really. We're excited for ourselves to have you there as a voice for us.
I appreciate you. And I really appreciate the example of leadership that you've shown, in the good and in the bad. You've always been there for Flint, and you impress upon others to continue to be there and here for Flint. And that means all the Flints of this state and all the Flints of this country.
And that's what we say.
But there's so much to be gained here. And let me, when it comes to the money part, I always tell people it does not matter what people give because
Right.
it all counts.
It all counts. You can send $5.
And people will weed you out
5,000.
because you're not raising the funds. And we
Right.
know that, again, there's only been 2 Black women in the history of the U.S. Senate. And so, and a lot of it will be weighted upon how much money is raised.
And so you all hear that, and so that it's important that we get behind you. We are behind you. We are supporting you. There will be a headquarters opening up in Flint because people have been asking me that.
Yes, we will.
So we will be having a
the team is excited
Pugh,
about
Michigan.
that. Yes.
Office here in the city of Flint, and as
Yes.
more information comes, we will share that with you. And we're going to have you on Black Money Matters too. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there because if you speak it into existence, it will happen. but Dr. Pugh, I really want to say Senator Pugh, thank you for coming to Flint.
Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you for not forgetting us.
And where's Wentis?
Why did you say her name? Wentis. She asked about you. She's at work.
Oh, okay.
Because she told me to tell you
when this day came,
she would have been
here.
No, she said she would have been here, but she has to work today. So here we go.
Okay, here
you
we
all
go.
Hear it?
And let me show you. Can they see? I have on my. They can't see. I have on my running shoes.
That's right.
We're running.
We're
off and running.
We're off and running. Washington, here we come. Dr. Pugh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let us know what you need, and thank you for coming on 810 News Media. We appreciate you, and we'll be talking again with you soon.
Appreciate you, and appreciate you, 810 listeners.